Hello everybody and welcome back to this tutorial, and right now let us continue with our sockets programming. So as I said, right now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the UDP protocol and implementation of the UDP protocol in the socket library or in the client and server implementation. Okay, so first of all, there are a few things that we need to know about the UDP. First, the data in the UDP protocol is sent in discrete packets, or as should I say, datagrams. So you will have no concept of a connection, no reliability, no ordering of data, and basically the datagrams or the packets may be lost, and it can arrive in basically any order as they want to. But the good thing about this is that it has the higher performance, and it is mostly used in games, in streams. For example, let's say you're having a call or watching a stream on Twitch or having a call over a Skype. It is basically a UDP protocol. That's why sometimes you have more lower resolution, or you sometimes just lose the connection and track, or some packets are not received. That is because you're not really losing connection, because the connection was never there. You're simply just dropping some of the packets that were used in order for you to, for example, receive all the audio from the Skype call, for example. So basically the packets can be dropped. There is no confirmation at the other end that the packets have been received, and therefore it is a lot faster. Okay, so right now we're going to see a simple UDP server. So open up your actual idle, enlarge it right here, and we are simply just going to import, or let's import it like this from socket, or let me just go to the edit. I will go edit, configure idle. I will enlarge it so you can see everything a little bit better. Let us go 20, apply. Okay, so let us code right now. We will import socket a little bit differently, so we will import it like this. From socket we will import everything. Now the reason why we are importing it like this is because we don't really have to type right now s equals socket.socket and then in between the brackets socket.af_inet and so on and so on. We can simply leave out this first socket if we want to. So we can do it like this. That's because we imported socket differently. So right now from socket we imported all, and s equals socket and in between the brackets af_inet. And the thing that changes right now is we want to create a datagram socket. Therefore we will no longer have this sock_stream. What we're going to have right now is sock_dgram, which stands for the datagram socket. Okay, so simple as that. Press here enter, and we created our socket object. Now the process of the server is the same. So basically you simply just type s.bind, and in between the brackets you specify your IP address and you specify the port that you want to bind to your IP address. Okay, so simply just specify 192.168.1.6. Of course, make sure to check what your IP address is, as it most likely will not be the same as mine. In order to do that, once again open up your command prompt and type ipconfig, and the actual thing that is in line with the IPv4 address is your IP address right here. Okay, specify it like this, and the second argument is as usual the port. So let's use port 10,000. Press here enter, and we successfully binded the actual port with the IP address. Okay, now we can enter the while true loop. So while true, press here enter. We can accept the connection, but right here we know that there is nothing as a connection accepting. So right here we don't really need to call the listen and the accept function. All we have to do right here is call data addr, which is going to be data that we will receive and the address from where we will receive, and we can right now wait for the message from anyone that basically sends it. And we do that just by simply specifying s.receive from, And in between the brackets, we can specify the amount of data. So let's say 1024 bytes. Press here enter, and you can see right here that it is trying to receive the actual data. Okay, so right now let us go to the client side of the code so we can actually send the data. Let me code it right here so we can see both of our codes at the same time. And we will simply just specify from socket import all the same way we did right here. Let's create the socket object as equals socket in between the brackets af underscore inet and sock underscore dgram. Once again, use dgram for the datagram protocol, and the message will be equal to, as usual, hello world. This is the message that we're going to send to our server right here. So in order to do that, you can simply just specify s.send_to. So you will notice right here that we didn't really need to use the connect function. You can simply just use the send_to function in order to send the actual data to a server. So the first argument to this function is what we are sending, and what we are sending is the message. So we'll just simply specify message. Of course, I believe we need to encode it, or no, we don't really need to, or we will see. And then the second argument will be to where you are sending it. So basically the IP address of the server that you are sending to and the port on which you are sending. So comma, and in order to specify that, you simply just open and close another bracket right here and specify first the IP address, which is 192.168.1.6 in my case, comma, and then use port, which in my case is the port 10,000. Press here enter. A byte object is required, so we will just simply create message encoded will be equal to message.encode. Let's encode it with the UTF-8. And right now let us send the message encoded, comma. Everything else is the same. 10,000. Press here enter. We can see that 11 bytes were received. Let's go back. And right now, let us code the rest of the actual program of our server. So right here, we can print the data if we want to, but we don't really need to right now. We will just create a response, which is going to be equal to how is your day? Question mark. Whoops. Day. And then question mark. This is going to be our string. Let's create response. Where is? Okay, so here is the underline. Response.encoded will be equal to response.encode with the UTF-8 before we actually send it to our client. And then we will send to, and what we need to actually specify right here is you will notice that right now we don't really have the socket descriptor or the socket object for the client as we had before. Once we actually coded the accept function, we specified something similar to this, just this was replaced with the client word, and this function was replaced with the accept, and therefore once we actually receive the connection, the socket object of the specific client is stored at the address in the client variable, and the address, which is the IP address, and the port is stored in the address variable. And we use to contact or connect or message and receive messages with that client by using the client variable. But right now you will notice that we didn't even have the accept function, and we also don't have the client socket object. Therefore, in order to send this from the server to a client, you simply just specify what you want to send, and in our case we want to send the response encoded. And in order to specify to who you are sending, you simply specify in this case the address, which is going to be the same way of sending as basically in the actual client. So right here you can specify ADDR because you don't really know the address of that client as long as they don't send the message. So we'll specify right here address. It will be the IP address and the port from where the messages are coming from in the client's case. You press here enter, press here enter once again, we can see we finished our actual while true loop. We sent 16 bytes, and now we're stuck at this line right here. So in our actual client-side code, we can now print what we received, or we can try to receive, and in order to receive, we need to implement the same thing as we implemented right here. So the same thing. So let us do that right here. We will simply just specify the same name. So data, comma, addr, which stands for address, is going to be equal to s.receive from, and specify the amount of bytes we want to receive. Let's say 1024 bytes. Press here enter, and right now, if you want to, you can print data, which is going to be how is your day. You can see we have this b right here, which means we didn't really decode it. So data will be equal to data.decode UTF-8. And now if we print data, it should be a simple string. So you can see right here. And now the server is waiting for the actual message. So you can send it right here. Let us send one more message and receive one more message, and that would be about it. So we will simply just create another message. So message 2 is going to equal to, let's say, good. How about yours? Now we need to create message 2 to be equal to message 2 dot encode UTF-8, and we will simply just send that, or we will send message 2 to the actual server. And right now we don't really need to specify the IP address and the port like this. We stored it right now in the address, therefore we can simply just specify right here address. Click here enter, and you will see right now that the server received it and sent once again how is your day. Okay, so it went through this line, it stored in the data, and then it went to the send to, and now it is stuck at the data received from once again. So we will see if you simply just print right here data to addr as.receive from should be the same message as we received previously. So print data should once again be how is your day, and it is. So basically that would be about it for the UDP server. Now what we are going to take a look at in the next tutorial is some of the Unix domain sockets, raw sockets, which is also something that you can use. Now sockets and concurrency, basically different browsers. We'll take a look at some of the different things, as well as we will mention the threaded server and how we can actually implement it. So basically that would be about it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Bye!